everybody, Sierra here. So I'm so excited that you guys are watching and you're joining me. This is my first official Bible study. Before I start every video, I want to give a book recommendation. So shameless plug, everyone knows Sadie Robertson. You know, she's like a motivational speaker. Her family is famous for, Duck Dynasty. Her latest book called Live is actually the first book I've ever read by her, which I'm not quite done yet, but it's a really good book. It's like a lot of encouragement. I just recommend reading it, or if you want to borrow my book, if you live in the Florida area, you are welcome to borrow it. I am doing my Bible study on parables. I love parables. Some of my favorite parables include the Prodigal Son. That's actually the one that I'm talking about today, and the Unmerciful Servant. Different parables like that. A lot of the parables are located in the Gospels. So we can start by reading the Prodigal Son, which is in Luke 15:11 through 32. And let me know when you get there. Alright. So, I am in the New King James Version, so my words might look a little bit different, but they mean the same. Okay, the parable of the lost son. Then he said, a certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falls to me. So he divided to them his livelihood. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together, journeyed to a far country, and there wasted his possessions with prodigal living. But when he had spent all, there was a severe famine in what the land. But he had spent all. There arose a severe famine in that land, and he began to be in want. Then he went and joined himself to the citizen of the country, and he sent them into the fields to feed swine. And when he gladly had filled his stomach with the pods that the swine ate, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have bread enough to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father, but when he was still a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And then the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight, and am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Bring out the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and sandals on his feet. And bring the fatted calf here and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And then he began to be merry. Now his older son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of his servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, Your brother has come, and because he has received him safe and sound, your father has killed the fatted calf. But he was angry and would not go in. Therefore his father came out and pleaded with him. So he answered and said to his father, These many years I have been serving you. I never transgressed your commandment at any time, and yet you never gave me a young goat, that I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this son of yours came, who has devoured your livelihood with harlots, you killed the fatted calf for him. And he said to him, Son, you are always with me, and all that I have is yours. It was right that we should make merry and be glad, for your brother was dead and is alive again. He was lost, and now he is found. I guess to put it in like a more modern type of way, imagine you have a sister or a brother, whichever you prefer, and your dad gives both of you guys like large amounts of money. Say for example, you both get $500, and one of your siblings goes off, parties, doesn't call her father for years, they're just living the life, partying, whoop, whoop. And then they run out of money. They have no friends. So what can they do besides go back home? So your sibling went back home and they're scared because their dad is probably gonna dishonor them, despise them. So when that sibling finally returns home, instead of fussing at them or telling them to leave, they come with arms wide open. The lost will always get found. The reason why I love this parable is because it just proves that God loves us. Yeah, the sibling does have a right to be mad, because imagine if you have a sibling and they were out partying, everything, lost contact for years, and they come back and your father is like so happy, and you're like, dude, I've been here my whole life and you have not ever did none of the things that you're doing for this sibling who just came back out of nowhere. And then God is like, well, you've been with me my whole life, everything I have is yours. When someone comes from sin and back to God, that's like the most amazing thing ever. We need to rejoice. We need to share the gospel. So what you have to do is pray. You pray for that friend. And when that friend finally comes back to you, that shows you that God was moving in their lives. We might seem close to the Father when we get everything we want. Maybe that new job promotion, or the salary raise, or we finally got that new car. And then once we get those materialistic things, and then we kind of stray away from God. Like, even if we do go astray, there's one thing that's so dear to my heart, that God will never stop loving us. He loves his children. A man who died on the cross for us, knowing, God knows that people will still reject him, but he did it anyway. And that's just like the most selfless, reckless type of love. His love will never fail. So I just want to encourage you today that if you feel like you've gone astray from God and you're scared to come back, you can come back to him, because his arms are wide open. God loves you and I love you. And if you want to be friends, follow me on social media and I'll follow you back and we can be friends. I'm just praying for everyone who's viewing this video, and if you get a chance, you can read the parable of the lost son or the prodigal son. You can read it on your own and tell me what you think about it. So thank you guys for watching my video, and next week you'll see a lot.